Hey everybody, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're discussing yet another awesome anime worth checking out, Saint Seiya the Lost Canvas.
This epic fantasy anime shows the events of the next holy war that occurs every 200 years, and the three kids that are caught right in the middle of it. There's Tenma, the Pegasus Saint, Sasha, who is the reincarnation of Athena, and Alone, who becomes the vessel of Hades, as they're destined to battle one another for the fate of the world once again. Athena.
Alright. That's not a name, you idiot! I love that part. Okay, so we didn't know what to expect on this one. We actually saw, I think you saw some fan art of it on Tumblr, right? When they were showing pictures of the characters.
One of my friends that I follow posts a lot of the Saint Seiya fan art, and I always thought it was really beautiful. I've been seeing it for years. And I said, this is really beautiful. And then one day I said, we should see, can we find it?
Right, and it's available on Netflix for the first season. So we finally went and saw it. It was actually in our list for a while, and then we finally recently saw the entire first season, which is 26 episodes long.
And we can't wait to see the second 26 episodes of season 2. This is one of the best animes we've ever seen. It's action-packed, it's energized, and it's interesting from the very opening scene.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course the intro. And the intro was in English. It was a shock. I was like, wait a minute, it's not in Japanese or translated. Mm-hmm. So, and then of course you have your heroes, your villains, and who they're fighting. And they have these warriors called Saints who are supposed to fight against Hades, I guess his servants, or what do they say, his Specters.
Right.
And they're all named after different constellations or stars in the sky.
Okay. So let's start where you said at first. Let's start with the intro and how long it is, and the beautiful music and the beautiful animation.
Right. And it does give you a basis of what the show's about. Like another good versus evil style of show. Mm-hmm. And who are the main characters or the main ones you're going to be focusing on. In the first half of the season, it's the three kids. And then when it gets to the second half, then it switches to just Tenma and two other characters that become primary protagonists in the journey.
Right. As you mentioned, there's a cast, and they're named either after constellations or Greek mythological characters.
Right.
And the moves that they choose to use, they don't call them moves. What do they call them?
You might as well call them moves because they
call them moves, but they have a specific name for them. And some of those galloping unicorn. And,
I was like, what?
And they're all based on whatever the name of the character is.
Right.
So as you mentioned, it starts off with three kids who are in an orphanage: Sasha, Tenma, and as Rascal kept saying, Alone. Who would name their kid Alone?
Yeah,
it took her a while to get over that.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. At first I thought that was just a nickname for the character. Like, okay, look at show's real name. Like, no, they literally say his name's Alone. I'm like, what kind of parents name their kid that?
We found out later. But the three of them are, two of them are brother and sister in the incarnation they're in now, which is Alone and Sasha. And then a man comes along and takes Sasha away because he has realized that she is the reincarnation of Athena again.
Right.
So he takes Sasha away, leaving Alone and Tenma, who are best friends.
Right.
And unfortunately, Alone in the reincarnation he's in, the child is very, very innocent and lets a stranger danger come up and talk to him. And a stranger danger tells him to go off into some far woods and find a rare flower because he wants this particular blood red to make the color of his best friend's eyes. Yeah, Alone should have stayed alone.
It's like every time someone tells you go far off somewhere you don't know how to find it, it's like, then you stay here.
And they're creepy. And the thing that I kept saying is that he looks just like Alone. He looks like an adult Alone. You know, his eye color was different, but he was dressed like him. Yeah. His hair was the same style, the same color.
Right.
And he looked just like him except for an adult. I would have been running. Like, no.
Like, why do you look like me? Get away!
So in his innocence, he goes, and you can tell what happens once he gets to this field and finds the flowers. He's being duped and tricked.
Right. And then once you know Hades is there.
Okay, she forgets he meets Pandora.
Oh, right,
who
yeah.
is Hades' sister in the underworld in Greek mythology.
Right, and she's the one that ends up
she's a conduit.
Right, conduit so Hades could take control.
Right, and she transmits his soul into this innocent child. Yeah, we know. We were thinking the same thing. And he no longer is just alone. He's struggling between being himself and that reincarnation of Hades.
Right.
Okay, now I've done enough backstory. Your turn.
Okay, and the thing is, he, because of all the lies they told him, he believed that through, the death is when they could be saved, which is backwards for this world. And that's how to save the world, was to just destroy everything. Mm-hmm. So in a way, he thought this was a way to help people. And they kept saying that this isn't him. This isn't him, because he just wants destruction for the sake of destruction. Mm-hmm. He thought that stuff would help. And so they were noticing throughout the season that he wasn't doing stuff that Hades would do and destroy.
And he also still had an attachment to Tenma.
Right.
When the time would come where he should have obliterated him, he wouldn't do it. He would toy with him. He would talk to him and go, "Oh, my old friend." Yeah, that kind of was a dead giveaway.
Right. And then they also, all three of them share this little bracelet with flowers on it.
It's kind of created for them.
Right. And that's how they kind of keep their bond is together still, because Tenma, I think, still has it, and Sasha still has it.
And it also is protection. Mm-hmm. When he goes into these different other realities or other worlds, Tenma is protected. Otherwise, after the first attack, he would have been dead.
Right.
So there's just so much going on in this anime show, but it's not overwhelming. It's really, really interesting, very well written. There's a lot of humor, I don't know if it's intentional or not, in the behaviors of some of these specters and some of the saints. So if you haven't figured it out already, the saints are the good guys, and they can be bronze or gold
or silver.
And then you've got the specters that are Hades' wicked minions or his knights. And they are black. All of them are always dressed in black all the time.
Right, and they move around like ghosts.
Right. And you cannot destroy them. You take them down, but they ultimately come back.
Right. And
they didn't know that at first.
Right.
Like,
what?
Right.
Right. They'll take them down for like a little bit, and they'll stand. If they really hit them with a heart attack, they'll be down for a little bit. The next thing you know, they're back, and it's like, oh.
Right.
It's like
what is the point?
Yeah, it's like the video game where no matter how many times you beat up the bad guys, they keep coming back. It's like, why am I doing this then?
There's another character I think we need to mention who forms a reluctant bond with Tenma's Tova.
I think. Was it Yato?
Yato.
Thank you. And he's supposed to be his rival when he first got there to train as a saint. Mm-hmm. And he beats the crap out of him at some point. Mm-hmm. But eventually they do end up working together, and you see he does care about him but won't say anything because he keeps calling him an idiot
and stupid.
Yeah, and when he keeps calling Athena Sasha, he keeps hitting him in the back of his head. He said, "You idiot! That's not her name!" And all of a sudden the atmosphere changes, the music's all goofy, and all of a sudden the other girl's like, "Are you seriously doing this right now?" All of a sudden that mood shift hits.
And I said, all this hitting him in his head, he should have some brain damage. Because and especially with all the powers and the mighty hits, it's like, this kid's got to have some brain damage by now.
Like, are you okay? And each episode is different, and not just focuses on the main plot of getting to Hades, because they wanted to separate them, and that was the way to save alone and defeat Hades without killing him. They would separate the two and defeat Hades, and then they would have Alone back, and that was the original plan. And every episode isn't just focused on that particular story arc, because so many different things happen. There were ones that were focused on the saints, like individual battles, and the battles could last 2 to 3 episodes because there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of monologuing in their heads.
And a lot of action.
And a lot of action, and how much it takes to take each one down.
And one thing I want to interject quickly that I really liked about this show that I had never seen in any other show, anime or otherwise, there's an incredible amount of backstory and complete episodes almost that are dedicated to the backstory of some of the saints.
Right.
And I love it because it's not just, a boring backstory, showing you something, it really takes the time and makes it a whole different story in itself. And you're kind of sad when it ends and you realize it's going back to the arc, because each backstory, and I mean every single backstory for every saint or specter, is incredibly interesting.
Right. And then there are times where they would go up against these so-called gods of what do they say, of death or of time or of something, all these different things, and they were pretty much the hardest to beat besides Hades, and those battles lasted 4 to 5 episodes because there were so many different ways they tried to attack them, and their powers affected them, affected the Saints, and the Saints were pretty durable for a while, especially with the armor, but eventually, yeah, most of them do get taken out because of the amount of power that's thrown on them, and they can't handle it.
Now, 2 of the main fake gods are Thanos and
shoot. Okay, well, one's named Thanatos.
Thanos.
No, Thanatos. And they Marvel took and shortened it.
Right.
And
one is for sleep.
Yeah, Hypnos.
And Hypnos. And then there's the third one who appears to be a woman, but when his Geist is destroyed, he's actually a very, very, very strange looking man. But he makes himself look like a woman because that's his dream.
Right.
He's the controller of dreams, and I can't remember what he calls himself.
Right.
And that's how he traps these different saints into dreams where they stay forever.
Right. If whatever they desire looks like it came true, and they won't want to leave that realm.
That was really interesting.
Right. And like I said, each saint has like a mini arc, and it ends up usually impacting the main plot.
Right.
And the goal, besides to defeat Hades, is that this particular version, to wipe out mankind altogether, is that he's going to paint a canvas. He can kill
across
people.
The sky.
Right. His power is that whoever he paints dies. Yeah. So he takes the entire sky and is going to paint every person on the planet. And when the canvas is complete, everything on the earth will be wiped out.
So he doesn't have to come back and do this again. So he wants this to be a final battle and done.
Right.
So again, this whole arc, this whole storyline is just different. Some of it, of course, is taken from mythology, but they've put a really good spin on it, where it's not just the same old story being told over and over again.
Right, and you're not thinking of Disney's Hercules or something when you watch it.
You definitely don't think of any Disney characters with this anime.
Right? It's its own show.
Definitely.
And it doesn't feel like you're seeing stuff copied from other shows or other anime. It's definitely its own thing.
And again, as I mentioned in the beginning, there's just gorgeous fan art made of this, and you can see why when you watch the anime itself. The characters are being drawn beautifully. The outfits and designs are incredible. The backdrop for the different environments and areas they are in. They took really just an incredible amount of time to make it otherworldly and beautiful. And there's one character in particular, speaking of beautiful, that we find hilarious, and we should have looked up the names before, but this one particular saint that keeps saying, "Oh, you're so..."
I think it was the one for Pisces.
"You're so beautiful. He's so beautiful. Oh, we know you're so pretty. You're so beautiful." And then Rascal says, "Okay, enough already. We know. We get it. He's pretty. But he's really, really pretty. He's incredibly pretty. And all the Specters want to do is smash his face in." And I mean, it's when you see it, it sounds humorous. It's not as cruel as it sounds, we're telling you, but they put the right amount of humor into this show and some of the lines so that they don't sound so, as I said, brutal and violent. But there are scenes where there's a little more anime blood than usual, and where they really are trying to destroy the saint or the specter, whichever it may be.
Right, there's a lot of damage done.
Exactly. But this is a great show.
Right.
I can't wait to see season 2. We've been checking on Amazon and hoping it'll come out, or that they'll bring it to Netflix. If anyone out there has seen this show and you know where season 2 is, please let us know. We can't wait to see it. We assumed that season 2 was on Netflix until it ended, and then it went to some other preview for another show, and then we were like losing our minds.
Right, because I think it only had 2 seasons, and they had no plans to do a 3rd season. So the only question is, does it end with who's gonna win. You still have that question,
Right.
like, is the bad guy win, or is the good guy win? Is there a chance for a third season, or is there
Right.
still battle going on that long?
Right, and we forgot to mention that it is based on an actual book series, a very long book series. So, not having read the books and knowing everything, to us it looks like a great interpretation. If you've read any of the books and let us know what you think.
Yes.
But if you haven't seen this, give it a watch. It is one of the best anime shows that we've ever seen.
Right.
Engrossing, entertaining, and again, just action-packed and suspenseful.
So, that wraps it up for us. I'm Mask Entertainments.
And I'm Mama Entertainments.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.
And reporters sitting flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you wanna do? My man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. Met her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket, give it to you later on in